Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Just start really slow with the first Suburi, so just finding the back and cutting down. Finding the back and cutting down. Nice big movement. Nice. Okay, good. So you've all kind of done this movement a lot and got the kind of coordination for it. So what we're going to do is look at this sensation of a bit more of a flexible connection. So when we start and we learn the movement, we really teach, and when we teach it to beginners, we really go like that the hands and feet move together and everything starts and finishes together in this case. So, and this is not wrong. This is just where you kind of start from and get the coordination from. But now just look at a kind of slightly more flexible connection where the center is really going to initiate, finish, and then the hand's going to finish. So get a sense of a slightly more of a flexible connection. The center's going to finish here, and then the sword's going to finish here. So just as an exercise for this, what you're going to do is find this position. Really find that the hips solidify in the ground, and then you find the focus here. So you're going to basically separate the grounding from the focus in the hands. It's a kind of a trick. You're going to go this way. Here, basically, the hips are finished, and then just press through, find the focus. I basically want to really have flexible sense of connection. So just work it like this. You find this position. The hips are finished. There's no more movement, and then the focus comes in with the hands. You can really exaggerate it by just stopping this position. Here the hips are finished, and then you just slot in with the grip. This and then this comes in. Okay, give it a try. This is a kind of artificial way, but it's just to kind of break the timing. So you've got a kind of timing that's like this, where everything's kind of moving together, and what you want to do is kind of slightly separate it. So you start to work with a bit more flexible. That's it. Good. Okay.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Benny.
Sorry for being late.
Oh, no problem. We just start with some Bokken work. Just Okay. So this is kind of difficult because we're so ingrained with this idea of this coordination that the hands, the feet, everything starts and finishes together. It's quite hard to kind of break the pattern, but just really try and watch for this kind of position. I want to really a sense of solidity in the hips. So there's really a sense of I've fully found the ground and the hips are really strongly in the ground. And then from here, the hands just finish the movement. So just sort of work now a little bit more flexibly, but really get a feeling that the hips hit the ground first. So what I don't want to do is kind of hit the ground with the hips. So I don't want to hit the ground with the sword, basically. But I want the sword to finish into a solid base. So this is about really creating a base with the lower body and then finishing with a sword cut into this way. So just take this a little bit slower. Find that hips really solid, and then the sword finishes into the. Really feels like it's slotting into the ground. So this and then this. And then finish with the grip. Give it a try. Play with it. Okay, so also this, we'll do a few more in this. It's really about finding the stability in the hip externally from the arms. Again, this kind of coordination of the arms, we tend to this feeling of hands and hips moving together, of the whole body moving together. I start to use that I rely on the cut to ground the body, but try and feel that the hips and the center ground independently of the cut. So really get a sense that you're going to ground the body through the body. So just play now with a cut that's kind of free, just through the body like this way. But really go to the sense that you're going to just ground the hips this way. And the cut, just let it go. So we do this exercise quite a lot, but really just with a slightly different focus. Really ground the hips. And that the sword just flows through this. So what I don't want is the hips to be, the cut is used to ground me. But what I want to do is kind of ground independently this way. So just really get a sense that you're really solidly grounded in the body. So I want to avoid the cut basically destabilizing me this way, which is basically pushing out or lifting the back hip up. What I want to do is just drain the body down into the ground. So there's no kind of kick up with the hips this way. Just the sense of grounded. So just play with all these basic levels. So just to really find the coordination. You've got a basic cut. You've got a sense of slicing through. You've got a sense of placing the weapon. You also got a sense of kind of finishing the hips and then applying the grip this way. And just play within these kind of all these levels. So really experiment with it and experiment with the connection. And you're looking for something that's really stable, strong, but also really flexible as well at the same time. Good. Nice. Okay, good. In this case, whichever one of the cuts you do, or which of these kind of exercises you do, the hips and the lower body are going to do the same thing each time. So in this case, really be careful that the hips start to do something else in these movements. Or when I place it, the hips are doing something else. Or when I do this move, the hips are doing something else. But really keep all the time, actually, whichever cut you do, whichever exercise swinging through, the body works exactly the same. So the hips just ground. The hips just ground. The hips just ground this way. Or the hip just ground this way. So really try and link this idea that you're going to ground the body first, and then either slice through, or place, or find the cut this way. Yeah, just experiment with it. But each time the body works exactly the same. It's just kind of what you're doing, transferring into the hands. All the time, look for a kind of feeling the hips grounding. Nice. Yeah, good. That's it. Nice. Mhm. Okay, good. And then we're going to go to Zengogi. Just look at for the same kind of connection. So you see, when we kind of learn this motion, kind of everything together, everything together, everything together. But just look left, just play within these levels. Also, you can use these kind of slicing through movements, or just placing the movement, or also this kind of movement this way. But just play with the flexibility and the connection. Moving through, feel that the hips ground, and then you cut into this. Ground and then the cut. Ground and then the cut. Ground and then the cut. Really work on this kind of connection. The sword should really feel like it slots into the hip. This way. That's nice, nice. Okay, good. Okay, and then also another kind of focus in this case with the rotation and this turning movement. Try and see how relaxed you can make this movement. So the Bokken should feel very light in the body. So again, the body's draining down, and the Bokken's going to raise over the top of the head this way. But really try and make this a light movement. Just have this kind of quality. If I'm too tight with the grip, I'll start to do this kind of thing, or I'll start to kind of raise up with the body. There's one kind of tell in this case that if I'm too rigid on, the Bokken will lift as I do it. So the tip of the Bokken will start to raise up. What I want to do is a sense of rotating underneath it. Rotating underneath it. And then finding this motion. Have the sense that the connection again is flexible. And in this case, it's very light. So the sword should feel super light during the rotation. You're going from a sense of lightness to heaviness. Lightness to heaviness. When you're in motion with the sword, you really want this sense of really like ease with the Bokken. Very light. Very nice. Okay, good. Okay, good. We'll go to this cut. So like a number 4 Shomanuchi cut, just on the spot. So bringing the feet in together, finding the back, and then drawing the body down. So together, find the back, and then draw the hips down this way. Again, look for the same kind of connection. Again, when we learn this movement, we tend to do this. Everything together. So the hands and the feet will finish at the same time. Hands, hips, feet, everything's kind of coordinated together. But now really look for a sense that that from the ground to the hips, the hands, this is really a sense of flexibility. So it's like the bottom's prioritized over the upper body, the lower body over the upper body, the center over the hands. So the center's really gonna stabilize before the cut. Stabilize before the cut. Just on the spot, so you can really just work on the coordination.
That's it. Good. Nice. There we go. Good, good, good.
Nice. Good, and then using the same coordination, work with a yokomen, so like a number 5. So again, bring in the hands together. In this case, just finding the top of the head. So you can also break this down into 2 moves. Get the sense of the body leading in this kind of feeling. So really get a sense that the hips, the feet drive the movement. This. So you can break this down into 2 moves. Find the top of the head, rolling down. Find the top of the head, roll down. Or you just blend it together. But again, where you're really looking for stability before the cut. So that as if the center hits the ground before the cut. This, and then this. This, and then this. This, and then this. Just work it so the coordination is much more flexible.
Nice. Good. Nice.
And in this case, again, this part from the Zen, really trying to avoid the sense of kind of lifting the sword. So in this case, really trying to avoid the sense of lifting the sword this way, lifting the sword, and really get a sense that you're going to drive through the body, and it's like you lead the sword around the body. So it's got this sense of heaviness and lightness this way. And I want to avoid kind of these kind of movements, right? So it's like I'm picking the sword up. So see, the raise of the sword is really generated from the bodywork. The bodywork. So this first movement should have really a sense of lightness, but not a sense of heaviness. With the body, the sword's basically pulling the body out of the ground. So when you raise the sword, really feel that you find the ground. So really drain the body down. You should feel really heavy in the lower body, and then find this position. Heavy in the lower body, drain down. So especially when the sword's raising, keep the body, the sense of the body down. Again, just look at how relaxed you can be during the movement. Imagine you're going to do like 10,000 cuts. Really like relaxed, heavy as well.
Good. That's it. Nice, nice. Nice, nice.
Okay, good. And then we'll just finish with the Bokken work with this movement. So really basic Shomanushi. It's the most simple movement you can really make. So it's going to slide off the front foot and strike down. And again, really just emphasize this kind of flexible connection with the body. So allow the body to initiate and the body to really stabilize before the cut. Again, you kind of learn this movement to be like with the feet and the hands really finish together. Really get a sense that you're going to initiate from the hips, and then the hips stabilize, and then the cut slots into this movement. So just starting again, find this kind of position. You're really going with a heavy mask forward, grounding, and then the strike comes into it. So you can just play with this way, finding the cut, just slicing through, or any kind of movement, just placing the sword, just making a normal cut. Just get that each time the cut's going to slot into the hip work. So again, just grounding the body before the cut. Let's work on this. Oh. Hey. So. Nice. That's good. Okay, and again, whatever you do with the arms or with the cut, slicing through or placing or cutting with the focus, again, the hip work does the same thing. So the main thing to avoid in this case is raising the sword and then the hips go. So don't do this by raising the sword first, but do it by pressing forward with the body this way. So you can also, in this case, just practice again for the coordination, pressing from the back foot, and this raises the sword up. So it's got this sense that when I raise the sword, everything's moving forward. So it's really a sense that the body's pressing forward with the cut this way, and not a sense that I'm going to raise and then go with the body. So really keep this one movement cutting in this way. As soon as you go, everything goes forward and down. As soon as you feel you want to cut, forward and down this way. Okay, give it a try. So this is the basic coordination for this attack. This way. And then see if you can make it heavy and flexible at the same time.
Nice, good.
Yeah, good. Okay, and then the last thing we'll do with the sword, just cut in freely. So just stick to Yokomen Shoman cuts. Just work on coordinating again the body from the ground. Really solidify the hips and find the cut. So just working however you like. Cut in any direction. Start with the body and end with the body. Nice and relaxed. Nice and grounded and heavy. Just play with shomen, yokomen. Being grounded. Nice. Okay, and in this case, just really give yourself a little bit more time after the cut. So really, give yourself a bit more space here. Find the cut and really feel that you kind of solidify heavy into the ground, and then start again. Really fully finish the cut, and then start again. So really get a sense of grounding each time, fully grounded. What I don't want to do in this kind of exercise is do something like this, kind of cut in, and the body's never really grounded. So I'm not really grounding the body. So what I want to do is really train the body to ground, find the cut, and then move. Ground, find the cut, and then move. Ground, find the cut, and then move. So really full power cuts, or full intention with the cut. Ground the body fully. The body should be totally still, and then find the next movement. So it's this kind of idea of going stillness into movement, but really find full stillness. Feel the body doesn't need to make any extra movements, just fully grounded. So give yourself 2-3 seconds. Really feel the body fully drained down. That's it. That's it. Yeah, good. Nice. Okay, good. Just put the Bokkens to the side. We'll just move into some kind of Kokyu work. So the first thing we're gonna is kind of extracting the sword work into Kokyu work. So the first thing you're gonna do, just pretend like you've got the sword, spin this position, and you're just gonna raise the sword up and cut this way. So it's kind of as if you've got the sword, just empty hands, and really work on the coordination again. That body dropping down and then finding the cut. So just this way, draw up, just like you do the first Suburi, and then cut down. And again, just work on the center, really have the sense of penetrating the ground and then cutting into it. So again, prioritizing the center over the periphery, the hips over the hands. Just find this and then cut down into it. That's it. You can also do this both sides, so. And you can also, in this case, you can also play with the hands crossed in this way. You just play with both sides and just try and basically unlock the sword work into the hand work. It's just the first step. That's it. Nice. In some ways, this is easier to get the coordination. In other ways, it's harder because I've not got an object in the hand. There's nothing to kind of focus on. But what I can do is really focus on the parts of the body that I really want to structure into the body. So in this case, really focus on the elbows. So the elbows and the hips really draining down. So get the sense of the elbows here really dropping down into the body. So as if the elbows kind of collect into the hips. What I want to avoid in this case is this kind of movement, where the elbows are kind of pushing out and then the body's coming forward. So keep a sense of heavy elbows, as if there's a kind of weight on the end of the end of the elbow. It just pulls it down. Pulls it down. Pulls it down. This way. That's it. Just focus on really heavy elbows. That's it.
Nice.
Okay, good. You got it. So the next step in this case is starting from this position again, and then you're just going to split the hands up this way, and then come down this way. So you're going to start to basically split the hands this way, coming down. Key thing you can't really see in this case is this position, but I want to keep this kind of spiral work with the hands. So the hands still stay front facing this way. So the hands are really in this kind of position. So feel the blade of the hand is pressing forward, and then just cut it down. So the key part in this one is the raise, splitting the hand and then dropping down. So just starting again like you've got the sword, and then just split it up and then press it down. Split it up and then press it down. So you can do both sides, split it up and cutting down. This way. Good. Okay, and again, just watch the position of the elbow. I'll show it this way, maybe it's a bit clearer. So in this case, what I want to avoid is this, bringing the elbows out in this position. If you think like Surai-waza, Kokyu or something like this, where you're basically looking for this kind of spiral. So I'm going to work into Kokyu later, but I want to get this kind of spiral work, and I want to avoid this kind of spiral work, where the elbow's basically coming out of the body. So in this case, really get a sense you're going to raise up, split, but the elbows stay heavy and down without this rotating out to the side. So just get a sense you're going to raise up this with the elbow constantly staying heavy down. And then here, this, but not this in this case. So don't kind of over rotate the elbows out. Keep the elbows heavy down this way.
That's it. Yeah, good. Good.
Yes. Michael, how far are your hands apart?
Ah, good. In this case, they're kind of shoulder width apart. So they're basically.
So if I'm looking at you, yeah, this makes it a little bit easier to see how far apart they are.
What I want to do is get too wide.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to be too narrow. This
Yeah.
way. Basically like so I'm basically looking for the natural position in the arc. So this is basically taking the sword work, this kind of cutting motion, now into kind of Kokyu work this way, where you start to kind of use the width of the hands, or the width of the shoulders. So just kind of lined up with the shoulder, this kind of arc. So I basically want this kind of arc without breaking this kind of structure.
Yeah, and it's an extension forward as well, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And then up. So about shoulder width. Got it. Yeah, that's it. Good. Okay, good. And now from this, straight into the Kokyu work. So again, starting in this position, you're just going to now press forward and out this way. So from this position, keep the sense of like holding the sword, and then just now press forward and out this way. And you really want to create a kind of Kokyu work. So really working now with a spiral through the hand, spiraling through. You're in this position, raise and find the Kokyu at the same time. So you're in this position, and then just raise and find the Kokyu. Again, really working with the blade of the hand. So this kind of spiraling, rotating movement here. So just starting here and then recoil it out this way. And hips stable, and the hands come out of that. Hips stable, hands. Hips, hands. That's it.
Nice.
Okay, and just what again, it's kind of what you want is to take the stability from the sword work, grounding the body and then into the hand. What I want to avoid is a sense of floatiness. So like this. It's kind of up, 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 up. The body's then kind of finished. It's kind of waiting for the hands to finish. But really, again, get the sense that the body's going to ground, and then the handwork comes out from that. So really stabilize the body into the Kokyu work. So there's nothing really moving in the hips at the end of the. Think of the handwork. The Kokyu work is like the tip of a whip. You want this kind of feeling, but the rest of the body's really stable as you find it. And what I want to avoid is like the body never really stabilizing. So just you're really gonna stabilize and then here. So you can also slow this down, stabilize and then press it down without being rigid. This is also the problem. So really ground, stabilize, drain down without really using tension. Really stabilize the body through the movement.
That's it. Nice.
And then just play with these 3 levels. So you've got basically holding the sword, as if you're holding the sword, raising up with a spiral and then dropping the hips through. And then you've got this idea of splitting the hands here and then rolling back. And then you've got the idea of raising up and coiling forward this way. So just play with these kind of 3 levels. Raising, dropping, raising, splitting, and then pressing everything forward this way. This is basically just working your way into it, unlocking the work of the sword work, the coordination of the hips to the hands, and really finding a spiral, and then using it. You can also do this both sides. Splitting and pressing. Just explore these 3 movements. Good. Good. And then we'll just start to play with different kinds of movements. So the first one, like again. Okay. The first one, you're going to just rotate with it. So it's a bit like Zengo Giri. You're going to start here, press forward, and then from here, rotate to the back, and then press out this way. Do this in 2 steps. Rotate to the back, and then press forward here. Rotate to the back, press forward here. Again, just working with stability in the body. This, and then this. This, and then this. This, this. This, this. Just for now, separate the 2 movements. So the rotation and then the press. Rotation, press. This way. Okay, give it a try.
Yeah, good. Good. Good.
Good. And again, just really work on stabilizing the body, especially in the rotations. We do a lot of rotation. We tend to be very unstable during them. So the key thing again is stabilizing down. So as you're rotating, really stabilize, sink the body down here, and then open out this way. So you can now go into it as 1 movement, but keep the weight down. So you're constantly keeping the relationship to the ground. What I want to avoid is like this, kind of rotating out of the ground, but get a sense that you're actually coiling into the ground. This way, so spiral down into the ground and then press out. Spiral down, press out. So just work now with this flexibly in 1 motion. And constantly draining down. Really now working with spirals, pressing through the handwork. Spirals out from the hip.
Good.
Okay, and then in this case, when you're working with the spiral, really make a spiral with the hand. So you're really gonna, from this position, you can imagine this. You're really gonna coil this. So the joint's gonna do this kind of motion. So I'll show you from this way. This kind of feeling. So there's a really big spiral in the handwork. So the body's kind of solidified, but there's a really from the forearm, from the elbow into the forearm into the wrist, out into the fingers. There's really a sense of coiling and spiraling with it. Yes, and what I want your body is just a kind of that. There's nothing really happening in the joint. So keep the elbow heavy, shoulders back, wide, and then just really coil with the hand. So you can work with just kind of this exercise this way. Really create a spiral from the hip. So this, the whole joint from the elbow down is really going to spiral. And in this exercise, really opening out in a spiral this way. This way. You should feel the whole kind of chain of the joints just kind of link like a chain. That's it.
Good. Nice.
And then in this case, just expand the movement a little bit more. So you're going to rotate from the front foot, a bit like doing a tiny henko, roll back, and then coiling forward. We just go to one movement straight away. So coil back and then press forward. Really with a sense of like hugging the ground with the feet. Coil back and roll forward. In this case, try and avoid doing it like a tiny henko kind of work, kind of linear. In this case, really open it out into a spiral. To slightly exaggerate the work of the hips. Spiraling in, out, and then in. To the back and then pressing forward. All the time kind of hugging the ground. Pressing spirals through the hands.
Nice.
Sorry, Michael, I have a critical audience with me.
Critical. Good.
Also, again, just work with a flexible connection. So this is kind of easy to do, like in a nice stiff way. Really get a sense that from the spine to the shoulders is very loose and free. So even though you find a stability, the upper body, the shoulders, the arms, everything's kind of still free and open. So feel that there's a flexibility in the spine, especially the spine. The lower body's really heavy and the hips are nice and strong, but the upper body, the spine up through the neck and the shoulders through to the hands, this is kind of loose, So in this case, really look at the shoulder blades, really opening them out. So make this a little bit more flexible and go slightly a bit stupid. So you've got to kind of slightly come out of the form. So as I get locked in a form kind of like this, it becomes very tight. But try and slightly open it out a little bit more. Really a sense of rolling through the spine. So try and keep the upper body very free. So at the same time, you've got this heaviness in the body, the lower body. Really try and develop a sense of freedom in the upper body, especially the spine. You want the spine to really stay flexible all the time. And this will transfer straight into the handwork. That's it. Good. And slightly break the form a little bit. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Okay, good. We'll just look a little bit of rotadori. So, as if you've got the two hands held, really ground the body down, find the extension in the arms, and then sink the body in, and then again, find a spiral through the bodywork. You're raising up and then coiling over, and really grounding the body down. So pressing spirals through the hands. So you've got the first spiral here, and then the second spiral here. Really slow and heavy. So really sinking the body down, coiling through the spiral. Raising up and sinking down. Keeping a width in the shoulders, and again, keeping the spine free. And pressing spirals through the hands. Directly into the ground. And again, just try and work on this kind of relationship between the sword work, the Bokken work, and the Suburi work, and then this kind of Kokyu work. So in this sense, it's really like raising, lowering, and raising the sword up. Yeah. It's got this kind of quality, this kind of quality, this. So when you do this kind of motion, really have this sense of raising the sword here. Now from here, you're going to sink in and coil this way. And there's really a sense of dropping again, hips through to the hands. So try and really like unlock the sword work. This way, rolling hips heavy down this way. So again, really try and stabilize the hips. Stabilize the hips, coil in, coil out, and stabilize the hips. So all the time, the hands should feel kind of heavy, as if they're kind of supported by the hip work. That's it. Okay, good. We'll just look at one technique like a Tenshinage. So working from, you can imagine a real Todori grip. The first one, you're going to break it down. So you're going to slide into the side and find this position. Again, really working with spirals pressing through the hands. This way. So sliding out to the side, coiling up here. And then from here, pressing in, finding this position here. So really, again, working with spirals with the fingers. Find the ground, sink in and coil out. And then from here, open the spiral out and press through with the body. Okay, just work on really grounding the hip work. So try and separate the grounding in the body from the spirals in the hand. Work nice and slow, 2 movements. Get nice and free in the upper body, heavy in the lower body. Okay, again, looking at weight, in terms of the first movement, it's a little bit like a kind of impact work. So there's a sense of the body coming in and pressing in this way. What I want to do in this case is trap the person in the body this way. So I want them broken, with the back broken, spine out, and trapped in the feet. In that case, what I need to do is slide to the rear and there's a sense of impacting in with the hip. And then from here, stepping in with the body this way. What I don't want to do in this case is just kind of raise and find the side this way. The person's just kind of in this kind of position. But I want in a sense that they're kind of impacted and broken this way to the side. And then you just pass through the back this way. So get a sense in this one of being heavy as you enter this. But I do it, you'll clash if you don't use spirals. So if I don't use spirals and I go in, then you clash with the person. But if I open the upper body out in a spiral, I can press the hips through it. So this kind of feeling. So it's really a sense of impacting. Kind of similar to the work when we do in Yokomenuchi, this kind of work. So there's really a sense of impacting into the body this way. And then from here, just open it out and step to the back here. Okay. So just get this sense of being kind of heavy and but working with spirals so that you're not clashing. This is really the key. And then out. So really working with a triangular footwork. This. Good. Nice. Good. And in terms of Kino Nagari work, there's kind of 2 forms. There's a long form and a short form. So we'll look at the long form first because it's more open and more flexible and there's more opportunity for the Kokyu work. So the first step in this case is with the 2 hands, you're going to rotate to the back, open it out, and then press through. It's actually very similar to this one of the first Kokyu exercises we did. So you're going to rotate out to the back and then find this opening here. And just work it as one motion, nice and fluid. Roll to the back, open out, and step through. You're really going to sense of coiling the body out, opening, and then pressing through. Coiling to the back, opening, pressing through. It's a really fluid, big movement. Kino Nagari work. This way. So. That's it. Okay, and one point in this, it's kind of the same as the sword work. What I don't want to do is do the strike with the hands, kind of pull out the body, and get the same in this case. I don't want to kind of do the throw with the hands. You really want to do it with the body. So again, this feeling of like impacting with the body. So you're going to really coil out, and then feel that you press the body through. So the body's coming through, and then the hands come through this. So again, the stability is coming through the hips, the body this way, and then the spiral is going to come out from that movement, but not this way. Okay, so get a sense that you're going to really, again, kind of impact with the body, press through, and then the coil in the hands is really the kind of final kind of tip of the wave. You just work on stability with the hips, pressing the weight of the body through. You want to really press the whole weight of your body through the person.
Good.
Yeah, that's it. Got it.
Got it. Good.
Okay, good. And then very last thing, the real kind of Kinagari form is direct. So in this case, you've got the hands out here, and then you just come through and press through this way. So again, you're going to just roll straight in. In this case, you really don't want them to really grab you, just rolling through and pressing in this way. So now, in terms of the basic work, you're really going to triangulate off, open out, and then press to the back. But in this case, you're going to directly enter the hip. So in this one, just press through the hip this way and find the spiral. Again, really, it's important that I use a spiral. So it's even more crucial now when you work in the kind of fast, direct Kinagari work. I don't want to go in kind of flat and use this kind of movement. This is just going to create a clash. So what I want to do is coil around the person this way. So it's if you're kind of waving over the top of them. So you want the weight of the body to press directly through and the coil to go over the top of them. So you want to have a sense of drawing them out, right out of the back. So just get a sense from the back hand, the back hip, coiling in this way. Again, nice and heavy with the body. Make it nice and slow. And again, just play with the basics. So you've got this kind of work really sliding out to the side, opening out, and then pressing through. Okay, and then the second kind of one, you're going to roll to the back, much more fluid, flexible this way. And the third one, you just press straight in this way. So you've got a kind of degrees. You've got a really kind of basic one, like a kind of square. And then you've got a kind of one that's really fluid. It's like a kind of circular movement. And then the last one's very direct. So it's like a kind of triangular movement. So you've got this really kind of sharpness in the last one. So the hip just presses through straight in. So there's no real kind of messing around. It's a very direct form. So you've got this kind of a little bit blocky for the basic. Really, really kind of static. And then the second one's very fluid, coiling in circles. And the last one very direct. Nice and sharp. Just play with these three. Try and really feel a kind of shift in the quality of the movement as well, so they're very different.
Good. There we go. Very nice. Good. Good, good, good. Nice, nice,
Okay, great. We'll stop there. So this is basically working on some kind of working from the Bokken work and trying to transfer it directly into the Kokyu work, and all the kind of organization work we do with the Suburi is really designed to kind of train this kind of Kokyu work, and the training the structure of the body and the coordination, and then later making it much more flexible. Once you've got really the form really locked in tightly, starting to kind of make it a little bit more flexible. And this is where you start to go into the kinanagari work with the taijutsu work as well. So this is the directly transferable stuff from the Bokken work.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Bow wow. Hey, domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.